الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين، وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى، ولك الحمد يرضيك، ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله وأمين على وحيه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وانظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have. And we are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our needs. Ya ayyuha an-nas antum fuqara ila Allahi wallahu huwal ghaniyyul hamid, and that including your rizq. As Ibrahim alayhi salam taught his people, فَابْتَغُوا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الرِّزْقَ. Seek your provision from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by working hard, but realizing that eventually it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we come on this day of Friday to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has given us. And we acknowledge our shortcoming in expressing our gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has given us. And then to renew our pledge and contract and covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and mithaq, that we will do as long we're living, we will do everything we can to fulfill His purpose, بإنفاذ مراد الله, and to seek His ridwan, بإنفاذ مراد الله بابتغاء رضوان الله. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, our great religion inspires and empowers and transforms individuals. Islam inspires, empowers, and transforms individuals. It mobilizes and unifies communities and societies. So keep this in the background. Inspires, empowers, transforms individuals, and then mobilize and unify communities and societies in a sustained way. Because you can mobilize and unify people temporarily, but Islam ensures this in a sustained way. Keeps people motivated, inspired, and mobilized and unified in a sustained way. That's the magic of this deen. How Islam does this? Islam does it by giving your life a mission and a purpose. And there is a huge difference between living and living on purpose, or between someone who just living and someone who is mission-driven or purpose-driven. And this purpose is very challenging. It's not something that you can achieve in days or weeks or years. It's very challenging and very noble. So very noble, it's worth also the sacrifice. And very challenging, it will take all your time and all your energy and all your life, and still will not fully achieve. You will never reach a point when you say mission accomplished. This does not belong in Islam. This idea that we're done and we can relax, it doesn't happen. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. You have to keep striving until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. There is no period in between where you say, we're done our part, now we can relax. And that's what Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam managed to do very effectively when he kept his community and his movement mobilized, unified all the time, never allowing the momentum to die. Every time the companions, they feel that they reach the level where they are, they can, and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam will raise the bar, will push the bar higher, like what he did in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Sulh al-Hudaybiyah was a breakthrough for Muslims, even though they did not realize at that time, and they thought that's a humiliating deal. But the Prophet ﷺ, with his vision and strategy, he knew that was a breakthrough. So as soon as they signed that treaty, Rasul ﷺ sent his emissary to the leaders of the world, telling the companions that we are moving to a different phase. So don't think that we are there. He went out of the Arabian Peninsula, sending his emissary to the leaders of the world, engaging them. Again, the message was for his companions that we're not done yet, and we will never be done. Every time we reach a level, we're going to push it to the next level. So it is very noble, something it is worth all the efforts and sacrifices. You will never say that I'm doing too much for it, for sabilillah. And then that's why in Quran this concept was repeated in many places. وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَجَاهِدُوا بِأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ. It's time and again. It comes by say praising those who strive, who spare nothing fi sabilillah, and then asking people to spare nothing fi sabilillah. Whatever time you're putting in this purpose, it's worth it, and you should try and push yourself to do more. Whatever money you're giving, whatever efforts you're doing, should always challenge yourself to do more fi sabilillah. Again, something that is worth all the efforts and sacrifices, and something that you strive all your life to achieve it, and you will never have that feeling of mission accomplished. And therefore, you relax your efforts and become complacent. Unfortunately, that's what we have been doing throughout our history. So, against the teachings of Islam, as soon as we achieve something, just relax, as if we're already there. So, that runs against the prophetic model and against the teachings of Islam. Why this is the case? Why you cannot achieve this mission fully until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because of the nature of it. What is this mission and what is this purpose? One, for you to be all you can be. To realize all the potential that Allah has given. And make no mistake about it. No matter how much you are trying, you are only leveraging a fraction and percentage of the potential that Allah has given you. There is still a lot more potential that you can dig out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see you a better version of yourself every day. So that doesn't end. There is no point in life when you say I'm there, because the next day you are expected to be a better version of yourself. You are expected to learn something new and to implement it so that you become a better person. And then we have the standard, which is Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And every day, as long as you're living, you should strive to try to be closer and closer to the standard. Now, any one of us is going to reach that standard? No. But we want to try to get as close as possible. Our worship as close as possible to the worship of the Prophet. Our akhlaq, manners, as close as possible to the khuluq, the perfect manners of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our dedication to Allah and to His cause as close as possible to the dedication of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's one. So it doesn't end. It never ends. It's for life. It's a mission for life. And then the second part of our mission is to make this world all it can be. That's the Islah part of our mission. It's betterment. So, regardless of how good the country in which you are living, you still have the obligation to try to make it better. In uridu illa al-islah, betterment. Make it better. Find something wrong in that and try to fix it. Find something good that is being threatened and defend it and keep it. So this mission of Islam does not end. Why? Because one, you want to be all you can be and as close as possible to the Prophet ﷺ, and you need to make this world as close as possible to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to prevail on earth, becomes your job and my job to make it happen. To make justice prevail on earth and to eliminate completely any form of injustice. That applies to virtue, fadila. That applies to peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants peace to prevail on earth. That applies to human dignity, applies to human freedom. All of these are part of the maqasid, of the purpose of this deed, and Allah assigned us, gave us the honor and the responsibility to implement it and make it happen. And the prosperity and the development. هو الذي أنشأكم من الأرض واستعمركم فيها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala settled you in this earth to develop it, to discover the rules that govern this universe and leverage them. So, and that requires a lot of advocacy effort, a lot of struggling to make justice prevail and to achieve those maqasid, and a lot of learning and research to fulfill this purpose of Amar. Amar meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala settled us, appointed us as Khalifa to manage and develop this earth. That's why when Muslims understood this deen properly, they were at the forefront of sciences, and both social sciences and physical sciences. That's what happened to the companions, and transformed them from a group of Bedouins in the middle of nowhere who were illiterate and became champions of a great civilization. It is this paradigm. It is embracing Islam as this mission of Islam that produced that great community and great success story. So every individual or a community in a society that succeeded or thrived started with a mission or a dream. Here they call it the American dream. Every individual who succeeded and thrived in this life, go and read their biography and you see they were very ambitious. They had big, high aspirations. That's what motivated them, and that's what kept them going. So every individual and every nation or community that thrived had a dream or a cause. It can be personal, it can be national or patriotic. Islam efficiently combines all these goals in one. The personal ambition, that's very good motivator, very strong, but also the patriotic, the national. Everybody wants their country to be in the best possible condition. That's an Islamic duty. That's part of your Islamic duty. So Islam combines all the motivators, the engines of motivation, synchronize them and produces synergy between them when you make your goal in life to meet Allah while He's pleased with you and to fulfill His purpose. Infad muradillah, ibtigha'a radwanillah. Individually, it's a duty for you to be all you can be. It's not optional. Allah will hold you accountable for any potential that He has given you, and you did not try to leverage it. You didn't make the effort to leverage it. It's like someone who has an oil well or field, but they did not extract it. They just kept it there. That's exactly any potential that you don't leverage, it's the same. And again, Allah will hold us. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما أتاها. Whatever Allah has given you is going to hold you accountable about it. How did you leverage it and how did you use it? So it is a duty of a Muslim to have high aspirations. And we need to raise a generation of young Muslims who have very high aspirations, no limit for their aspirations. Collectively, it is duty of Muslims to make your community all it can be. your community, and your society, all it can be. So Islam combines all of these together and creates a synergy between them and pushes the incentive and motivation to a much higher level. Why? Because yes, you want to be successful, but Islam will give you an incentive to be successful in the hereafter and in this life. So you have two forces driving you. You want to be among the winners in the hereafter, but also as a human being, you want also to succeed in this life. And Quran makes it put that in a beautiful way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Saf says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم تؤمنون بالله ورسوله وتجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالكم وأنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار ومساكن طيبة في جنات عدن ذلك الفوز العظيم وأخرى تحبونها نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Saf verse 10, you who believe, shall I show you the bargain, tijara, that will save you from painful torment. Have faith in Allah and His Messenger and struggle for His cause. Struggle for His cause with your possessions and your persons. Spare no effort fi sabilillah. That's the meaning. Jahidu bi amwalikum fadl. That is better for you if only you knew. ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. What's the incentive and rewards? He will forgive your sins. That's a great incentive. Admit you into gardens, graced with flowing streams, into pleasant dwellings in the gardens of eternity. This is the supreme triumph. And He will give you something else that really please you, that will really please you, His help and imminent breakthrough and victory in this life. So you are driven by these two very strong motivators, but that's again, if you embrace that mission of Islam and strive with everything you have, fi sabilillah. And Islam not only puts the bar very high and give you a purpose in life, and it gives you guidance and direction on how to get there. Indeed, the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are countless. Gives a meaning and purpose for your life that will motivate you, inspires you, empowers you, transforms you, motivates you to achieve, to be all you can be and realize all your potential, but then gives you also direction, gives you guidance that you find in the Quran and the model of Rasul ﷺ, and gives you spiritual energy that you get from praying and worship and all the spiritual activity. You get the purpose, you get the direction, and you get the energy, the fuel. That's it? No, more. And give you the ability to restrain yourself and achieve the highest level of discipline, to do what needs to be done, to do the right thing, even if it is not convenient, and to restrain yourself from anything that is bad, even if it is tempting. That's the package that this deen, when it is properly understood and taken seriously, that's what it delivers. Meaning and purpose and mission in life, direction, guidance, spiritual energy and fuel, and then strong brakes and discipline. And show me anybody who succeeded in life, I will show you somebody with the highest level of discipline. And vice versa. There are people who are very talented in different fields, in sports and others, but they fail, lack of discipline. And Islam gives you the highest level of discipline. That even if nobody is watching, even if something that is very tempting, even if it is legal, if it is harmful, you're not going to do it. Why? Because you have Allah is watching. and you are policing yourself. Gives you the highest level of discipline, and therefore this package should deliver very successful community and very successful individuals. Just imagine, gives you the ability to restrain yourself from anything that will distract you, that will waste your efforts and time and energy, and of course, that will harm you. Anything of this nature, this deen gives you that ability to restrain yourself. Even if it is normal, even if everybody else is doing it, you have that ability not to do it. That's the whole idea of taqwa, that self-restraint. Now imagine a community or a society whose members, first, who has a common cause, a rallying cause, mission like this, that will keep it always motivated and always united. And imagine the members of this community, the individuals, they are striving to be all they can be and to make their community all it can be. The only possible outcome, bi'idhnillah, is victory and prosperity and for this community to thrive. Imagine a community whose individuals have a great source of inspiration and motivation and empowerment that keep them motivated even when they are exhausted. As Quran tells us about the Sahaba, تَتَجَافَ جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا تَوَلَّوْا أَعْيُنُهُمْ تَفِيضُ مِنَ الدَّمْعِ حَزَنًا أَلَّا يَجِدُوا مَا يُنْفِقُونَ. These people, they wanted to do even more than what they can. Even when they are not capable physically or financially, they still want to do more fi sabilillah. So it's not like reaching their limits. It's they want even to exceed that. يسارعون في الخيرات وهم لها سابقون, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. And great individuals who have great discipline and the ability to restrain themselves and observe their limits. It's very important to be for the success of any individual, any family, any community, is for any society, is for individuals to fulfill their duties and observe their limits. Don't cross their limits. Almost all the problems you see at any level, family, relationships, community, it's when people overstep their limits. When people overstep their limit. Now we have to know that these limits are hudud Allah. You cannot overstep them. تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها فلا تقربوها. So you have certain duties to observe, obligations, and you have limits to observe, and you should not cross them. All the problems that you see, or most of the problems in a relationship and in families, and it's when people overstep their limits, and Islam gives you the strong ability to stick to your limits and observe your limits. This is how Islam transformed the companions and produced that great community and great success stories. What happened next? What happened next is that this paradigm was lost. This package was lost. Muslims abandoned their defining mission. Muslims are defined by a mission. In French, they call it, even in English nowadays, became the raison d'être. Raison d'être meaning the reason that you exist is to fulfill this mission. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت الناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. So it's a defining mission. When you abandon, you lose everything that comes with it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised help for those who fulfill this mission. Allah made you a special community because of this mission. Khayra ummah. So it is, when you abandon that defining mission, it's like abandoning the purpose for which you were created. It's like somebody hiring you for a job description and you don't do it. They come and tell you that's the reason you are here. The reason you are here is to fulfill this job description. That's why you were hired. And if you don't, then you don't belong here. Same thing applies. Muslims are defined by that mission. So when they abandoned that mission, they lost most of the benefits that we were explaining. Most of those benefits were lost. That's why they accepted that dynasty rule for centuries. One man, absolute power, and that power is inherited by his son when he dies. And we are yet to find or rediscover that package, that paradigm, that lost paradigm of Islam. In recent history, so that's old history, recent history, Muslims rallied and produced great success stories of mobilization and unity against occupation. It was a very noble cause, and Islam played a significant role in it. A lot of people were fighting the colonization, they were doing it fi sabilillah. Yes, majority or all people, they're doing it out for their dignity and to not to free themselves, but also the Islam was a major factor in it. But that was not sustained. As soon as they gained independence, people felt that bad feeling of mission accomplished, which we should never feel, as I said, if we properly understand Islam. What happened? They ended up with a dictatorship, corrupt, oppressive regimes that ruled them for decades, almost a century now. Why? Because the goal was limited. It was not the full Islamic mission that will keep you motivated all the time. If they had the proper understanding of their mission, they should have risen the bar as soon as they gain independence. They say now our Islamic duty is to build strong, just country. So the job is not done yet. We're going to have to continue to be mobilized and to be unified until we achieve. And again, every time you achieve a goal, you have to raise the bar as the Rasul did. So our duty does not end. That's what should have been the understanding. Does not end by pushing out the occupation. Now it's going to switch. We're going to switch to a different goal, but we're going to keep that state of mobilization and unity. Now, more recently, people mobilized and produced the same state of unity and mobilization in the Arab Spring. Very inspiring in different countries. And then the regime fell. They were able to topple the regime. What happened next? It's the same mission accomplished feeling. Relax your efforts, go, celebrate, and then you find out that nothing happened. It's you didn't achieve much. I mean, it's a revolution, but you came out with you didn't get your sacrifice and efforts worth. So achieve freedom, but that should never be again the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to do what Allah expects you to do until you meet Him. You achieve a goal, you raise the bar. That's what the Rasul did, and that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do. And the most recent example is what it's unfolding in front of our eyes in Syria. Already, of course, was a great revolutions. People, they celebrated. It was worth all the sacrifice they made for decades. But we already are seeing indications that is pointing to the direction of the same suit, different ball. And again, I'm sorry to say this, and I hope that I turn out to be wrong. But there are some signs and indication that something that we have seen before, it's unfolding in front of our eyes. It is happening in front of our eyes. And if Syrians don't rally now, not even tomorrow, and keep that state of mobilization and unity to force their will and oppose the trend and the agendas that we have seen it before and we know where it is heading. And we're not going to be fooled. Even if we were fooled, deceived before, we shouldn't, because this is very recent. It's not even another generation told us about it. We have seen it ourselves. So, and stop this trend that is unpromising. they will end up with a modified version of the previous regime. One man, one party. That's where things are heading. With the same everything else. The only thing that will be different probably that you can say whatever you want. You can say, sit in a coffee shop in your house or on the social media and say whatever you want and nobody will arrest you. And that's if ever it stays. Even that, it's not guaranteed because we have seen in another country, even that was taken away. People enjoyed it for a few years and then it was taken away from them. So if they want to get their sacrifice worth, you're gonna have to stop it now. Imagine themselves like this regime that lasted for 50 years. If it was stopped in the beginning, they would have saved themselves all these decades. That's not applied to just Syria because it is recent, but applies to everybody else. So the time is now before it establishes itself and it becomes very costly to change it or close to impossible. And how to do that again, we have to get rid of this feeling of mission accomplished. Mission is not accomplished. Until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mission is not accomplished. You get freedom, that's your right. Natural right was taken away from you, you get it back. It should not be your ultimate goal. Then you have to always ask yourself what is next and work, raise the bar and work for the next challenge. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, same thing happened even here in our recent history as a community. We come back inshallah and talk about it, how we did the same thing, we mobilized, unified to have our own Islamic centers, and the moment we achieve it, again, relax, stagnation, division, and maintenance mode. We know we don't think about what is next in violation of the verse in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذين مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر. That's what we should have done when we got our Islamic centers and fulfilled, satisfied our pressing needs as a community. Then we had to take this as a base and go out and fulfill the mission of Islam and have the maximum positive impact on the society in which we are living, as the verse says. And inshallah we'll come back with this with more details. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا توفنا وانت راض عنا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا من نلقاك. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا جميع موتى المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.